Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today, Accelerating Impact Through Innovation, Uncovering Top Nonprofit Marketing Trends from the Acceleration Report. So I know everyone is just coming in. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to have you. So let's get the chat fired up. I want to make sure it's working too, but I'd love to hear from you and just learn a little bit more about where you're from and what organization you're with. We have Toronto in the room. Amazing, with Action Against Hunger. Balboa Park, San Diego. Hey, local San Diego. Well, so Community Boost is, founded in San Diego. So always love to see some San Diego nonprofits. We have Kate with Rochester, New York. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, so not too far. Nice to see fellow New Yorkers here. Pennsylvania, United Food Bank from Mesa, Arizona, San Francisco Autism Career Pathways. And so, wow, this is so great to have you here today. Really excited to kick this off. And yeah, I can't wait to dive into all of these learnings from our recent acceleration report. So I'll get into it now. So for those of you who are just joining and are unfamiliar with Community Boost is a digital marketing agency that exists to empower nonprofits to change the world. So we are aiming to work with about 500 nonprofits directly last year on our agency side of things. We have over 200 nonprofits that we're working with directly through our accelerator program, which is kind of a do it with you model where they get access to courses and coaching that help them really scale impact on through marketing all year round. And we also have free events like this, like webinars and our nonprofit marketing summit. So if any of you have been to the nonprofit marketing summit, please shout that out in the chat. Would love to hear from you. And yeah, this year we're aiming to raise $50,000 for our many nonprofits that we work with. So thank you again for being here today. And to learn a little bit more about me, I'm our digital events manager here at Community Boost. And so a large part of what I do is put together that nonprofit marketing summit, which hopefully some of you have attended and enjoyed and gotten a lot of value out of. So I really, my whole goal is to empower nonprofits to drive growth at their organization through educational events just like this one. And so thanks again for joining today. All right, so I want to learn a little bit more about you now. So I'm going to launch a poll here, and I want to learn what you feel like is your biggest challenge preventing growth at your organization. So let me go ahead and launch the poll. And so, yeah, want to learn more. Is it budgets? Is it your board that's keeping you back? Is it limited time? Is it that you're just using some clunky, outdated tech, whether it's CRMs or fundraising platforms or staff turnover to have people left? Has there been, any layoffs at your organization? Storytelling, are you actually getting your story out there effectively and connecting with donors? A lack of education on how to leverage tech. So maybe there's a lot of softwares and things that you want to do, but are just not sure how to do it, or is it something else? And so I want to hear from you. Go ahead, paste in the chat as well if it is something else, or you can give some more context too. So I'm seeing a lot of responses come in already. It looks like limited time, 22% of you said limited time. 18% of you said effective storytelling. That's super insightful and interesting, and I'd love to maybe provide more content around that. I'm seeing board constraints, but I see budget is 40%. So that is incredible. I'll go ahead and stop the poll and share the results in just a moment. But yeah, it sounds like, Leanne said, too green, we're learning while doing everything. That's same with us too, Leanne. I hear you on that. So it sounds like that resonates a bit where, everyone's just trying to learn how these strategies work for their organization. Lack of staff due to low budget, I see that as well. Nancy said budgetary restraints, like the ebbs and flows of fundraising. Alan said it's really complicated. It's several, and it is. Yeah, I think it's interesting to try to identify what the biggest barrier to growth is. But I see this as, all of these things can contribute to not being able to grow as fast and as much as you want to. So super interesting. I'm going to end the poll and share the results. 39% said budget, 24% said limited time, 19% said storytelling. So super interesting to see those top three there that really stand out and are preventing growth with this group. And so hopefully in the next few minutes, I'll get to share a little bit more about what we're seeing as the trends as a whole for our nonprofits through our acceleration report survey, and offer a few solutions to help you navigate through these. So thank you again for being here and for participating. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started with our agenda today. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Nonprofit Acceleration Report so we all know what we're talking about. And then I'm going to dive into the too long didn't read version of this presentation to give you a few standout stats that I really feel like are showing the top trends in the nonprofit sector, and a lot of things that you'll probably resonate with. And then from there, we'll dive into the top 7 most innovative strategies that you can use to drive growth in 2023. So I'll try to leave as much time as possible for Q&A. So keep the questions coming. This is going to be recorded. You will get the slides in your inbox tomorrow. And please go ahead and submit your questions in the Q&A pane. So there's a Q&A pane specifically for questions, so put all your questions there so that'll make it much easier for me to get to all of them, and then keep the engagement up in the chat. So thanks again for being here. So let's go into the introduction to the Nonprofit Acceleration Report. So pulling back for a moment to think through, what is this report all about? How would you explain if your organization doesn't meet your growth goals this year? And I think this ties into those challenges that we just talked about. However, in spite of those challenges, other organizations are still able to overcome them in order to achieve their growth goals. So what is the difference? What is the gap there? And so I think really what the answer is here is effective innovation. So we'll get into a little bit more about what this looks like, but ultimately, this is a critical component for modern nonprofit marketing, especially in today's era of constant digital transformation, where you're not just, I think in the nonprofit sector, one of the challenges is shiny new object syndrome. Oh, there's a new strategy out there. Let's try it. Oh, let's try this thing. And then so there's this complicated, I think, relationship with a lot of digital strategies where we don't want to just go wherever the wind blows, right? but rather focus on the digital strategies that are going to make the biggest impact at your organization. So this is what we really mean by effective innovation. It's not just, trying things just to try them because they're new, but rather identifying what are the top digital strategies that are going to be most impactful for your organization. And so I think at nonprofits like yours, one of the biggest challenges is, do we fight against all of the different new technologies, or do we ride with the emerging trends in order to drive growth? And so I think it is about finding what are those top emerging channels and top emerging digital strategies that we want to implement into our plan right now, so that we're able to not just follow trends, but rather be ahead of them. So I think this really ties into having not just a reactive strategy, like, oh, there's a new strategy out, let's try it, but rather being proactive in identifying, hey, what are the top things that are going to work for our organization, and making those educated decisions to incorporate them into your strategy. And so really riding those tailwinds instead of just following the trends. And so that really is kind of the heart behind the Nonprofit Acceleration Report. It was created to identify the top performing trends in nonprofits right now so that you can anticipate the emerging trends that will help drive growth at your organization. And so what we did, and some of you who, I'm curious, did anyone participate in this? I would love to see you in the chat. So we gathered insights from over 1,200 nonprofit professionals to really study how they're using marketing channels today, like social media, advertising, SEO, email marketing, and much more, but also identifying the emerging trends. What are nonprofits planning to use this year so that we can get a good pulse on where the sector is going and how nonprofits are leveraging these channels to advance their mission. So that's really what the report is all about. I love the report because looking at our findings, we got such a wide range of nonprofits. So 36% of the participants were organizations that have an annual revenue range under $1 million. I think it was 27% were 28% rather were $1 to $3 million. And then another 36% were $3 million and above organizations. So from there, that kind of shows us that we got a pretty even distribution of small, medium, and large nonprofits that were participating, so that we were able to distill insights and actually differentiate trends between smaller organizations and larger organizations. So that was really insightful. And then same thing with kind of who was answering the questions. We have a really great divide of both like founders, board members, and executive directors. So you can see just right there, that's like 26-27% in that category. So we have those people who are making the decisions about what products and solutions and strategies that we want to try this year, as well as the majority of doers. So marketing teams, development teams, communications teams, all of those who are actually implementing the strategies to drive growth this year. So it was a really great study and participation that we saw, and some of the organizations that participated were United Ways, Girl Scouts, MS Hope for a Cure, Pause Humane Societies, and CASA Child, so CASA Charities, Candid, and so many more. So there was so many great participants and really great learnings that we were able to distill from the organizations that participated. So I want to invite you now, if you haven't already, you can actually just take the report home with you and study it on your own. Of course, we'll go into all of the findings, but feel free. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now, so you can always go ahead and get your copy of the acceleration report and keep the learnings going long after the webinar is over. So I'll leave that up there for just a moment. Yeah, did anyone participate in the survey? Just curious. All right, so I want to move on to, Maureen, thank you so much for participating. You're being represented in our stats today. So yeah, so let's get into the too long didn't read the standout stats, uncovering trends in the nonprofit sector. So number one, which was great to see, I love to see it, was that despite economic volatility, nonprofits still hold on to hope regarding driving growth at their organization this year. So what I loved about this is that we are hopeful as a sector. We're seeing that, yes, there is current economic challenges that everyone is facing today. Budgets are tighter. We're being constricted from every side, it feels like, but you know, over half of the respondents expect significant growth this year. So that's an increase of 4 to 14% or 15% or higher in annual revenue being driven through fundraising. So that's a huge jump and huge increase. And I do think that, you know, we see almost in the sector sometimes an inverse where, because you guys, your nonprofits, you're on the front lines, you're serving people in need. So we hope that more people will continue to be generous. We also saw that 38% expect to maintain their revenue at a 0 to 3% increase. So 3% growth would, still be in line with kind of like inflation rates, so kind of staying the same, which is also good to see that, people are still expecting to, kind of stay where they were last year, and less than 10% expect a revenue loss this year. So I see this as good news as far as how we're feeling as a sector. This is still data from only a couple months ago. So we accepted responses through like the end of March, I believe. So this is all the latest data and has a good pulse on how nonprofits are feeling. But I will say that part of this is great, but I would hope that action is taken behind it, right? Because we can hope that, our increase in revenue, we'll see an increase in revenue, but unless you put a lot of new strategies into action, it's going to be harder to do that this year, I think, than previous years. So yeah, cautionary but hopeful. And then number 2, the average percent of funds raised online grew rapidly between last year and this year. So we ran the acceleration report in 2022 as well. And so we compared the data of, how much percent of online revenue what percent of your revenue is being driven online. So we compared the two charts here. The blue is last year, where most of the responses were less than 10% of revenue being driven online, whereas the orange this year, that's the current trends, where we're seeing most organizations fit between that 21 to 30% of revenue being driven through online channels, and 31 to 40% a close second. So this actually shows a major shift, I think, in comparison to even years before, where more funds are being driven online than ever before. This is basically double in 1 year. So this is a huge growth, and we'll get into kind of like the practical implications of this in a moment, and how you can leverage this. And number 3, nonprofits investing in digital advertising is up 80% in just 1 year. So we compared again last year's data in blue to this year's data in orange, of really, where nonprofits are spending their money and how much. So one of the findings that we saw is that in 2023, nonprofits are prioritizing digital advertising, with 70% at least spending $500 a month on digital ads. This is a significant increase from only 38.9% of nonprofits reporting the same last year. So ultimately, this shows 80% increase in just 1 year of nonprofits investing in digital advertising. So again, this is a huge finding, and something that you're able to kind of take a look at and see if you're not already investing in digital advertising. This is a great trend to sort of, kind of get on the tailwinds of at your organization. Number 4, nonprofit marketers have room to grow. So we asked everyone, how much do you agree with this statement? Our nonprofit executes effectively on our digital marketing strategy and consistently drives online results. So we had 45.7% of nonprofits agree to that. That's great to see that there's people that there's nearly half of respondents feel pretty confident when it comes to digital marketing, and 8.9% strongly agree that they effectively are implementing their digital marketing strategy. However, I think this leaves a lot of room for growth. There's too many of us that are feeling pretty neutral about it, where maybe you're doing some of it, but you're not sure you're doing it right, or you're just straight up feeling that you are just not effectively implementing these digital marketing strategies, and you're kind of behind in the times. So there's so much room to grow when it comes to even those in the agree, 45.7% of people who feel like they agree, where we would love to see that needle move to strongly agree, so that you're able to effectively implement strategies to grow as much as possible in 2023 and then into 2024 as well. And number 5 is that budget and lack of resources are the biggest challenge to nonprofit growth. Now, we just did that poll earlier, yeah, a lot of this is actually pretty similar, but some of it's different, where 39% of you said limited budget was the top concern this year. And I think it was about 24% said limited time. So that's like right on the money with, what our larger survey respondents said. And then actually storytelling was way up in this group, where that fell at about 7.3%. When we studied the larger nonprofit sector as a whole. But basically, in comparison to last year versus this year, it kind of swapped, where limited time last year was the majority of respondents' biggest challenge, whereas this year, limited budget kind of took the lead, whereas limited time fell. But I think all of this shows that even more so than in years prior, I think the sector as a whole is feeling both like the shift of digital, where there's this like outdated technology that we've inherited. There's a little bit of lack of education on tech that's really preventing growth. But it's also sometimes the board will, step in and prevent us from upping the budget for our technology, or upping the budget to hire a new person. And, or staff is leaving and there's holes that need to be filled. So it's kind of almost this perfect storm, I feel like, that a lot of nonprofits are feeling, where there's all of this pressure from all these sides. So it's really leads us to the question, how do nonprofits navigate all of this to drive growth in 2023? And so this is where we're getting into the meat and potatoes of everything, to really bring you the top 7 innovative digital strategies you can use to drive growth in 2023. I saw a question come in. Ebony asked, and do you mean paid ads specifically, or digital channels? Yeah, so this looks like it's going back to point number 3 here, where nonprofits investing in digital advertising is up 80%. That is specifically paid ads. That's what we're seeing. So it is a paid digital advertising strategy, and this is up 80% in from year over year. All right, so yeah, top 7 innovative strategies you can use to drive growth in 2023. Number 1 is stop taking less than the minimum effective marketing dose. So I think for a lot of us who are feeling pressed for time and are feeling kind of that lack of support needed to drive growth, I think our way of navigating that right now is to do the bare minimum that you need in order to just like kind of stay afloat and keep growing and keep engaging your audience. There's that rule of 7. You probably all have heard of this before, but basically a long time ago, someone very smart figured out that it takes about 7 times for you to get in front of your audience in order for them to take an action, whether that's make a sale or donate to your organization. So in today's world, I think we're constantly being bombarded on every channel. No matter where we go, there's more noise out there than ever before. So that rule of 7 is actually shifting to actually a rule of 8 or a rule of 9, where the same things that we've been doing to just kind of stay afloat are no longer going to keep us there, where we have to kind of up the investment into our marketing in order to continue to drive growth and continue to get those donations coming in. So what it looks like now is moving the needle forward, where we're not just doing the minimum, but rather continuing to push the envelope to get in front of our organizations, or rather our donors more, to donate to your organization. So that sweet spot is really where we want to be, where we're constantly getting in front of our audience on different channels so that they're always reminded of your organization, even when you're not fundraising. And I think this is something we'll get into a little bit later on, but a lot of the strategies that we do with our nonprofits that we serve is, even when you're not fundraising during the summertime, let's say, we're kind of always thinking of like the big year-end ask, and how do we continue to stay top of mind and engage our audiences now. And so we'll run meta ads, and we'll use the Google ad grant and everything to sort of stay top of mind throughout the year, get people engaging with us so that they're primed when the end of the year comes to actually convert. So I think kind of thinking through that and seeing what areas you can further invest in throughout the year, and continue to, really get in front of your audience even more so that you stay top of mind. Number 2 is sourcing innovative, passionate marketers is mission critical. There's this quote here: people are not your most important asset. The right people are. So that's from Jim Collins. And so I do think that it's not just about having more support, even on our team. It's not just having more support, it's having the right support. So who is going to be the right person to give a lot of your, or offload your plate when it comes to digital marketing? So you want someone who is the right fit, right? So you can resource this through a lot of different ways. And I do think like it's not always that you have to hire someone full time. You might be able to get a contractor or an agency or someone in that has the right skill sets to do this for you. But I think a lot of that comes down to the board and the leadership. So it's not always just like, oh, we need the budget to hire a new marketing person. Maybe it's that we need the budget to outsource this to a contractor who's specialized in what it is that we are looking for and want to expand to. And I will say there's been a huge increase in staff turnover just from last year, being that staff turnover being like the primary thing preventing growth, went from 3.9% to 12.5% this year. That is a huge jump. So recruiting talent is a challenge that a lot of nonprofits are facing. So I do think that, in the gaps, you can always find help, whether that's through volunteers, agencies, contractors. And that's definitely something I would look at this year if you're experiencing that, and, getting that buy-in as well from the board to invest in that, where, a lot of organizations, are looking to a lot of organizations are looking to agencies to source their digital marketing, with 26.5% going to agencies, 22% going to part-time staff, and 15.3% going to consultants, and 9% going to contractors. So there's a lot of options out there. I would also, this hurts a little bit too, when I'm seeing like, how does your organization resource its digital marketing efforts? And there's 4.6% that have no marketing staff, or, back to that 22% that are only having part-time staff that are, this means that, you're probably feeling the pressure there, where, you have so much need in order to grow, but there's not that resource there. So definitely look to agencies and consultants, I would say, in order to kind of fill that gap, especially as things are advancing so quickly in the digital space, and you want someone who's particularly specialized in those channels. So number 3 is go deeper into your core traction channels. For most nonprofits, there's a huge opportunity to go deeper. So your core traction channels are going to be the marketing channels that you're already doing. So I do think with this, when you're thinking about what are your core channels, you may want to just write them out. What are the things that we're currently doing? How are we getting the word out about our nonprofit? How are we interacting and engaging our audiences? And just see map it out, see what you're currently doing and what the current investment looks like. And also look at what the return on that investment looks like. And I think that's really important when it comes to, like we were saying, effective innovation is leaning more into those channels that are already working for you. So yeah, this is just an example here of what some of those core channels might look like. So that'd be like email, social media. Maybe you have a search engine optimization strategy. Maybe you're already leveraging the Google ad grant, meta ads, paid search ads. Maybe you're doing events. Are you doing, do you have PR? Do you have direct mail? What are the things that you're currently doing? Map those out, see how they're performing. I think like doing a temperature check like halfway through the year is really effective too. I would probably even do it quarterly to see, again, what's your investment into these channels? How is it paying off for your organization? And then also think through the emerging channels. So this is going to be the things that you want to do this year at your organization. And there's still plenty of time to try new things before year end comes along. So think through, do you want to try influencer marketing? Do you want to try SMS, like texting? Do you want to do TikTok ads, or do you want to just get on TikTok for the first time? Think through what are your core versus your emerging channels. And this will look different for every organization. So it really is about personalizing this for you. But I have some data for you to really show you what are the top 7 core channels that we're seeing sector wide. So we asked everyone to basically rate how important these specific marketing channels are for you. So we looked at email, SEO, social media, Google Ad Grant, Microsoft ads for social impact, paid search ads, SMS, direct mail, YouTube ads, display ads, meta ads, Twitter ads, LinkedIn ads, and TikTok ads. So we asked people to rank them from most important, as in very important, moderately important, slightly important, and not important, and looked at this to really identify what are the things that nonprofits already are seeing as important to their strategy. So that looks like number 1 is email marketing, with 86.7% of nonprofits saying it's very important or moderately important to their marketing plans. So that puts email marketing as the number 1 most important channel for nonprofits right now. And I think it will continue to be throughout this year and into next year. Always going to be a really important channel to have in place. So a tip for you is to look at your email marketing and see how you can increase your investment into that. Number 2 is organic social media. I don't think this is a big surprise. There's so much engagement happening on social. So 76.7% of nonprofits say that it's important or moderately important for them. Direct mail is number 3. I think this is something that, not enough content, I think, is out there on direct mail, where so much of what everyone's talking about is all digital, but there's still that direct mail, physical card, letter in hand that is really still important for nonprofit strategies. And I don't want to take away from that, because it is still important. It is expensive, like Doug said. I think I was surprised too, because it is pretty expensive and kind of time consuming as well. But still think it's a big top strategy at organizations. But maybe that's something to look at, where as you're evaluating, like, what is your return on investment from direct mail? Are you getting back, at least 3 times that investment to make it worth it? That's definitely something to keep an eye on and see if that's something that you want to continue to invest in. this year. SEO, I was excited to see that this was number 4, with 57.7% of nonprofits saying it's important for their marketing strategy. I think this is great if you don't already have a search engine optimization strategy and are have a plan to rank on Google as well as other search engines. I think this is going to continue to be important as far as this year goes. Driving more traffic to your site is always going to be something. Not just more traffic, but the right traffic to your site is still going to be more important for nonprofits, especially this year. Number 5 was Google Ad Grants. Number 6 was SMS, so mass texting, and number 7 was Meta Ads. So definitely want to get more into this actually. So when we're thinking about our core channels and how we can further invest into these, so you probably are already doing these to a certain extent. But some things with email marketing is to continue to segment those audiences if you aren't doing so already. And you can segment by, how many times they've donated to your organization. I think first time donors and repeat donors should get different communications. Recurring donors, that should, kind of feel like an exclusive club. Email should definitely be tailored there. But also thinking through, what other ways you can effectively segment your lists so that you're sending more personalized and relevant content. Especially thinking through, like, did people donate to a specific program or interests? You can definitely increase your email marketing results through segmentation. A/B testing is also a really great thing where even for us, we'll test different subject lines to see, which ones were most effective when it came to open rates. And also the more you can automate, the better, where you have maybe like workflows in place with emails going out on your behalf automatically, where someone signs up for not just your email list, but maybe they sign up for more information about a specific program, and you have a whole series of emails, not just one, going out that kind of kick that communication off and get them invested. Search engine optimization, I really do think developing a strategy around this year is going to be important to identify which keywords are going to actually drive the right audience, like I was saying earlier. Social media, I do think like there's so much you can lean into further, and I have a whole section on that, so I'm going to get into that more in a little bit. The Google Ad Grant, if you are not already using this, I really, really suggest that you do. It is a free $10,000 a month, completely free in Google search ads, so that you're showing up. This is actually great coupled with an SEO strategy, so that you're showing up at the top of Google search time and time again, and you're just really maximizing your number of site visitors, and can really, furthermore optimize your site for conversion on that. SMS is really great. I really think this is something that not enough nonprofits are using or using well, where you're able to, I have my phone right here next to me. I'm already, seeing the pings go off, and I open every single text message I get. I'm sure you do the same. For your nonprofit to leverage SMS effectively to continue to get in front of people on their devices through text is going to be really powerful. So definitely recommend that strategy. And also, I still recommend Meta Ads. I mean, it's so it's such a huge opportunity, I think, where you don't always just have to do ads to get new audiences, which is always great and a big opportunity, but you can also use ads to remarket to people who have already joined your email list. You can upload that list and retarget them with advertising. And one of the great things is that you can actually leverage AI to create ads. We'll actually talk about that more in a little bit, so that you're able to get more out of it and see a higher return on investment. So I want to offer everyone the opportunity to actually sit down with our team to identify, your biggest opportunities when it comes to your core channels that we just went through, as well as the emerging channels. So if you want to sit down with one of our experts here, it's literally free, no obligation. You're able to meet with our team. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Meet with our team to get some expert advice about how we think that you can get the most out of your digital marketing. So it's a great opportunity. So you can go ahead and book that time to chat with our team. Catherine asked, will we get us the slides or recording? Yes and yes. So these will be sent out tomorrow, as well as a package of resources for you. All right, and I'll get some more questions at the end. So please keep the questions coming and put them in the Q&A pane. All right, moving on. Number 4, test emerging channels faster. I really think that with digital the digital transformation goes really fast. So there's new things coming out all of the time. So I do think testing new strategies faster, even if you don't do it perfectly, is a really, really great way to at least get a pulse on what the opportunity could look like if you did a greater investment. And I think this helps, especially when we have limited time and limited budgets, right? I don't think that we have to go all in when it comes to any of the strategies that we're talking about. Maybe you just want to try out TikTok. So what does the minimum investment look like in order for you to see if this is a good channel for you? So maybe you just want to get on TikTok and post whatever you can. You can post once a week, once every other week, once a month, and just see what the engagement looks like. I think just trying things quicker and getting a pulse on it is going to help you when it comes to making bigger decisions on what you want to invest in later. So a real innovative marketing team is a marketing team that's really agile and quick to just test things out. You don't have to overly commit to any of the channels. And I also think it's interesting to, see where people's attention is. I just brought up TikTok as an example, but, that's grown so much faster. It's the fastest growing social channel and so many people are on it. Like, why not give it a try? And so, yeah, and you can really figure out what works and what doesn't work for your organization this way. And so we actually asked nonprofits in our big acceleration report survey, what surprised you? What did you try and surprised you? And so we got response after response. There was literally hundreds of testimonials like this where they spent $150 on Facebook ads and raised $16,000. That is a great test, right? There's such a small investment there to see that big payoff. And now they know Facebook ads work for them. Same thing goes when, trying out a new donation form on your website to see, what the opportunities are there. We switched our online donation experience to be more intuitive and raised $50,000 in one day. That's huge. So any of these, spent $1,000 on paid Google ads and raised $500,000. So time after time, we're seeing that the more you test and invest a small amount, you're able to really identify what works well. So with that being said, we identified the 8 top emerging channels. Some of these actually overlap with the core channels, right? Because, these are still things that nonprofits are looking to try this year. So we asked, how likely are you to use these channels and fundraising options for your nonprofit in 2023? We asked about fundraising with crypto, Google ad grants, paid search ads, including paid Google ads, of course, SMS, Microsoft ads for social impact, YouTube ads, TikTok ads, display ads, Meta ads, Twitter ads, and LinkedIn ads. So this kind of goes along with what we're talking about with that increased investment in digital advertising. So you can see that the top choice for most nonprofits is Meta ads, followed really closely by the Google ad grants. And why not? It's literally free advertising. So I do think that these still are, if you haven't already tried these channels, it's the biggest channels that nonprofits are looking to this year. I think I was kind of surprised by LinkedIn ads by number 3, but it makes sense, right? I think LinkedIn ads are a great opportunity to target higher net worth donors, and also target companies for corporate partnerships. So, 69.2 were very or somewhat likely to use LinkedIn ads this year. Number 4 is paid search ads. And so I think this is a big opportunity as well. Like we were saying before, where SEO and the Google ad grant kind of work together. I would say paid search ads and the Google ad grant also really work together to amplify your efforts so that you're driving as much traffic as possible. Number 5 is ads for social impact. Number 6 was Google display ads. Number 7 was YouTube ads. And number 8 was TikTok ads. I thought this was super interesting because 52.4% of respondents actually said that they were very or somewhat likely to use TikTok ads. And I don't want to take away, even though that's not number 1, that's still a majority of nonprofits are looking to TikTok ads this year. So yeah, I think this is all super insightful. I kind of said this earlier, but LinkedIn ads are a really powerful tool to, really target more potential corporate giving efforts, legacy giving, volunteer recruitment, higher net worth donors and major donors, corporate partnerships, so much more. LinkedIn members are 56% more likely to donate than the average internet user. So I do think that's a great channel and to test out this year. Paid search ads. This is definitely something where you can use the ad grant and paid search ads to really maximize the traffic being driven to your website. And then coupled with this, I would say Microsoft Ads for Social Impact. Unfortunately, this program for new registrants is closed at the moment, but they are looking at reopening it later this year and looking at offering more opportunities for nonprofits to leverage ads on Bing, on Yahoo, and more in order to drive traffic. YouTube ads are a huge opportunity. What I love about them is that you can target them pretty easily, where I would do retargeting with YouTube ads, and it's a pretty low it's a pretty low cost and barrier to entry. So I would definitely explore testing out YouTube ads. It is the second most visited site in the world. You're definitely going to find your audience on YouTube and can use that as a tool to get in front of them. Similarly with Google display ads, I would definitely do remarketing again, where you're actually just getting in front of your existing audience and seeing that, testing that and seeing how it works and for you. And then similarly, TikTok ads. I mean, there's over 1 billion users on TikTok. The average user spends 95 minutes a day on the platform. So again, this is a huge opportunity to get in front of next gen donors. So Gen Z donors, as well as millennials still. And I know we talked a lot about advertising, and I wanted to invite you all to Nonprofit Ad Day. This is a 1-day mini conference where we're pulling together members of our team that are actually implementing a lot of these strategies for the hundreds of organizations that we work with, and giving you all of the inside scoop into how we're really leveraging these channels and how you can too. So this is a huge opportunity. I would really encourage you, if you want to learn more go ahead and register for Nonprofit Ad Day. You'll get access to, 12 amazing sessions taught by our team that's actively using these strategies right now. So you can really learn from those who are doing it with nonprofits. So go ahead and sign up for that. I hope to see you all there. All right. And I know we're coming up on time. I want to get to some questions, so I might speed through this part. We all know social media is important. Second top channel that nonprofits look to engage their audience. And so we really do see that increased social media adoption is boosting growth and engagement. And as much as people are 56 or 52% of people are interested in trying TikTok ads, only 23% of nonprofits are on it. So this is a huge opportunity for you to be on that emerging trend. Try out TikTok, get on YouTube, get on Twitter if you haven't already. I know that's been kind of ebbing and flowing recently, but it's still a huge opportunity to engage your audience across multiple channels. And for you to enhance social media, I don't think it's about just trying new channels. I also think what our survey showed was that most nonprofits post less than twice a week, even on the channels that they're using, the platforms they're using. So increasing your posting frequency is, I think, the lowest hanging fruit, where if you're looking for like the minimum investment into increasing engagement, it's just increasing posting is a super easy way to do that. And the more that you get engagement on social, the better it will be when you do social advertising. So let's say you increase your engagement on Facebook from 2 to 4 times a week. Now you're able to, number one, reach more people, get more people interacting with your posts, and then you're able to retarget them later. So it makes a lot of the advertising opportunities easier and more effective the more you actually engage on organic social. Also, just think through it. There's a lot of actual influencers out there that are open and really want to support good causes. And now is the time to see which of these people that have big followings on these different channels, can you tap into their network? So even if you don't have the big network, you can also tap into influencers to expand that. Budgets don't always have to be a barrier. A lot of people will work with nonprofits for free or for low cost. So I do think that's something to look at. I recommend checking out Social Current. It is a way for nonprofits to connect with influencers and have them create content for you. Opportunities to enhance social media success. One of the biggest ones is video. We can see this even today, that you don't have to have polished videos. All the videos trending right now are very not polished. I think people want to see something genuine. So I think it's more about just your team being willing to show up on video and post that on channels. Try it on all of the different channels you're already using. And of course, all the ones that you're going to. This is especially great for advancing your ad strategy too, because even if someone just watches a second of one of your videos on Facebook or Instagram, you're able to retarget them later with ads. YouTube, again, is a great way to do this too, where get people interacting with your videos. And according to a Google survey, 57% of people who do watch a video from a nonprofit go on to make a donation. So I would definitely, when it comes to thinking through content on social, definitely prioritize video over other types of content. Number 6 is adopt innovative technologies. I really do think that the nonprofits that are able to really grow the most are the nonprofits that are adopting the technologies that allow them to do that and empower them to do that. There's so much out there when it comes to CRMs, donation softwares, different social media planning and calendar tools. advertising tools, lead management, email marketing, and so much more that can help like automate a lot of the process so that you're not always looking for a new person, but you're rather investing in the software that makes it easier for your team to manage. So I do think that the more you invest in the technologies that make things easier for you, the more you'll be equipped to succeed. And the more automations you can set up and the less manual labor that you have to do to engage your audience, the better. So I would definitely explore whatever the new tools are that are going to help you get to the next level with the least amount of effort. That's the way to go. So same thing with donation software. Even before that one person that raised $50,000 in a day just from changing their donation software. Now, I don't know the full story, but I do know that whatever you're doing with marketing, if you're driving them to your website, driving visitors to your website, if you're not converting them, then all of your marketing is not going to waste, but it's not being used as most effectively as it could. So the more that you take a look at your donation form and see how you can optimize this for conversion, and there's plenty of really great tools, Give Butter, Fundraise Up, Fundraise. I know there's a lot of really great options out there that have looked at how to create optimized forms for conversion. But yeah, I mean, I really think that this is, if you're not already using tools that help optimize conversion, now is the time, because you're going to see a huge return on investment. Even a small increase in conversion rates, like the number of people that get to your form that actually go on to make a donation, is going to like make a huge difference when it comes to your organization. You can also leverage AI and ChatGPT. This is something that I'd love to get into more, and we can have a whole webinar on it soon, because there's so much opportunity there. But we even just tested it for helping us figure out like, oh, what would be like a few great meta ad headlines for Save the Children. And then even pushing it further, like make those more creative. This is a really easy way for you to just get started if you haven't already with leveraging ChatGPT to give you the ideas and keywords for SEO and so much more to help you really start getting into leveraging these to save yourself some time and effort. Last but not least, and I know we're coming up on time, systemize your innovation process. I think the biggest thing with innovation and all of these emerging trends is that it's like we think of it once every 6 months or maybe once a year, and you're like, oh, I have to catch up and like figure out what's the latest thing and try something new. But I think like appointing someone on your team to sort of always keep this in mind and have innovation and emerging trends built into your process is going to make it that much easier. So I do think like whether it's having an individual run point on it, I would recommend that, but also like creating like teams that are like specifically, or maybe it's a monthly meeting or something to kind of brainstorm what it is that your nonprofit wants to try this month. What are we testing? And I think always thinking about what are the trends that are going to benefit supporters, right? Where it's not just like what works well for our organization, but rather like what do our donors want to see and what makes it easier for them to give. So that's just a few tips to, kind of build innovation into your process every day. When it becomes, that's when it becomes possible for you to continue to innovate and innovate effectively. So I really do think that the difference between missing and achieving your goals in 2023 is effective innovation. And I think hopefully all of these things will help you and equip you to innovate effectively this year. And so I would love to just leave you, I'm so sorry, leave you with the Nonprofit Acceleration Report so you can get further insights into the current and emerging trends at nonprofits, so that you can really think about how you can integrate that into your strategy. And I would also love to invite you to work with our team on this free digital marketing game planning session to actually map out your biggest opportunities at your nonprofit to increase your effectiveness with digital marketing. So go ahead, book that time to chat, and we would love to explore how you can scale impact and help map that out for you. So, all right, I know we're pretty much at time, but there's still 100 of you here. This is incredible. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I would love to go over, I know I missed some questions in the chat while I was going, but yeah, so someone asked, the report says over 1,200 nonprofit professionals, but I don't see that many organizations are reflected in this report. Yeah, so it is, yeah, it was like a little over 1,200 nonprofit professionals responded to our survey, and we gathered data from them. So yeah, it was over 1,200. You should see that in a lot of the graphs as you download the report. Yeah, Gregory asked, in your opinion, how many social media platforms should your nonprofit be active on? I think this is a really great question, but with a nuanced answer. So most nonprofits have at least 4 social media channels. That's what we saw in the report. So most nonprofits are on at least 4 social channels. Now I think that sounds about right. I think it depends on which social channels those are. If I were to prioritize right now, I would probably do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. But all of that being said, I think it's really about identifying where your supporters are, and also whatever channels you're using, digging into the ones that you're already on and posting more, engaging more, using them well. I don't think it's about like being on 6 different channels, but you only post once a week. I think it's, I'd rather see nonprofits be on less channels and posting more and engaging more. Ebony asked, what do you feel is the most effective paid ad strategy to garner donations, given people need so much nurturing to give? This is a great question. My initial answer is I would probably do Meta first. I just think it's a really low-hanging fruit, aside from just being the number one that everyone answered in the report. I actually think like what's great about Meta is that you're able to really target people well and retarget people well. So given that, we do need to nurture these communities, Facebook and Instagram provide a great place for you to retarget effectively and then drive conversions from that, since it's like kind of conversion first. I also think like, why not at least be leveraging the free Google ad grant? I know that's not necessarily a paid ad strategy, but it's a great way to drive more traffic to your site. I would say that's a place to start. And you need to capture those emails and get them to convert and at least give you further contact information. But if I was going to just choose one paid ad strategy, I would probably do Meta ads. All right, Laura asked, do you recommend certain digital advertising for localized nonprofits versus national or international nonprofits? So I think that targeting is a beautiful thing, and no matter what digital advertising platform you're exploring investing in, there is a lot of opportunities to target locally. So, and I think that's like pretty understood where, of course it's not just nonprofits, but businesses, so many things are local. So you are able to like target to certain areas. And you, again, like I would probably start with remarketing, if anything, where you're uploading lists, of those who are already on your email list or, in your networks. And then you're kind of, retargeting to those, and so that those are going to be more localized since they're already invested. Linda asked, how do you find micro influencers? There's a lot of ways for you to, of course, do some searching and Googling and finding those people on your end. But I would still say, like, I think Social Current is definitely worth checking out because it matches nonprofits with the influencers that can make content for them. So short answer, maybe check out Social Current. Yeah. Oh, Nat said Captivate, Paid, Maverick, Clear, or Influencer are also some sites. That's super helpful. That's awesome. Thank you. Ebony asked, what would you focus on the fundraising goal or getting contact info first? I think if you are trying to bring in new donors, if you want to expand the number of donors, I would probably go for contacts when it comes to whatever it is like you're advertising on and want to convert through. I would also kind of keep that in mind where like all of this kind of works together, right? Like, so the more contacts that you have, the more you're able to remarket to them later and then convert them when it comes to, a big fundraising campaign. Awesome. So much great questions on here. I'm trying to get to them all. I will be sending out a slide and the recording, and I'm so thankful for all of you for sticking around and engaging this whole time. And I can get to one more question. So Doug asks, I hear conflicting info about using Venmo for charity donations. What is the real story? I would say I would recommend Venmo. I think it's a great payment option where you can have it on your donation form, not necessarily like have people Venmoing your organization directly, but rather like incorporate it to the donation form so at least people can pay with Venmo or pay with Apple Pay, Google Pay, all of that. Just because that kind of puts the donor experience first. And I know, like, for me, if I don't have to take out my credit card, I won't. So I'd rather pay with Venmo or Apple Pay because it's easier for me as the donor. So the less work your donors have to do, the more money you'll make. So I would definitely recommend incorporating Venmo as a payment option, as well as Apple Pay, Google Pay, all of those. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been great. What great engagement. Thank you for all your great questions. And I really look forward to getting these slides and the recording out. And I really hope to see you all at Nonprofit Ad Day. So if you haven't already, you can still go ahead and book that digital marketing game planning session to chat more specifically about your organization and what next steps you can take to innovate effectively. And then you can also join us on Nonprofit Ad Day, get more tips from our entire team. They have so much wealth of knowledge and practical experience implementing these strategies for nonprofits. So you can go ahead and sign up for Nonprofit Ad Day. And we would really love to see you there. So yeah, well, hope you all found this helpful, and thanks for sticking around, and have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Amazing. This was great. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.